Hi everyone, Alan from Newlands Pecs. Welcome to today's Ask Alan. It's episode 11 already, so we're doing this for 11 weeks. So thank you for so many questions. We've had lots and lots of questions come in and still more coming in. So make sure you get a question if you want it answered. So let's get to today's questions. Question 1, why should I feed tripe? I suppose in essence you don't have to feed tripe. There is a bit of a myth, and we don't hear it that much anymore, that when you're feeding raw that you have to feed tripe. And tripe is a good quality protein source. Dogs seem to absolutely love it, or most dogs do. Plus it's good for them, but you don't have to feed tripe. But if you can include tripe into your dog's diet, I'm not talking about just feeding tripe, because a lot of people just used to feed tripe. If you can include it into your dog's diet, there will be benefits. It's almost like a superfood for dogs. Plus, like I said, they absolutely love it. What we often find, if a dog goes a little bit fussy, sometimes the smell of tripe can really get them going. It's the opposite for us, I know. But if you've got a dog that likes tripe, then definitely feed it, because it is very good for them. But you don't have to feed tripe. Question 2. So someone has seen online you need to feed your dog 10 different proteins a month. Is this true? No, it's not true. Lots of dogs are not even fed 10 different proteins through their whole lifespan, and that's been the case for a very, very long time. I can think dogs going back 30 or 40, 50 years wouldn't have had 10 different protein sources. Is it a good idea to feed 10 different protein sources? As long as it doesn't stress you out trying to find 10, then it's probably not a problem. But you get complete amino acid proteins, and they're the ones you all know. You've got your chicken, you've got your turkey, you've got your beef, you've got your lamb. If you're feeding those ones, then you'll be absolutely fine. You don't need to feed 10 different types. And actually, if I said to you, right, you've got 5 minutes, name 10 different protein sources that you can definitely get in dog food, I'm guessing a few people are going to struggle, and you're going to find it quite hard to get 10 on a regular basis. You can do it. You can definitely do it, but it is a bit tricky, but you don't have to. Question 3, what's a good food for a cat with a sensitive stomach? So this is a really tricky question to answer, because it's going to be specific to this person's cat. And without knowing what that doesn't suit them, it's really, really hard to answer. But what we tend to find is that foods that are a reasonable amount of meat and are not packed full of grains really do work for a cat with a sensitive stomach. Plus, a lot of cats get on really, really well with raw, so it's well worth considering those. But to be honest, I almost can't answer that. I'd need to speak to the person who's asked the question and say, what is your what is your cat sensitive to? Purely for the fact that potentially what they've been feeding, they might have been feeding loads and loads of chicken. If they're sensitive to chicken, then we'd avoid chicken and go for something a bit different. So I hope that helps. I know it's not really an answer, but it's pretty close to an answer. Question 4, should I feed bone broth? Well, you don't have to feed bone broth, but there is many, many benefits to feeding bone broth. It's packed full of glucosamine and chondroitin, which is good for joints and bones and stuff like that. Plus there's other benefits, and you may have heard people say that if you're feeling a little bit under the weather, to have chicken soup, and bone broth is basically exactly the same. It really does boost the immune system. histamine really does help with a lot of dogs, and we often give bone broth to dogs if they're feeling a little bit unwell. But bone broth can be given all the time. A little bit to your dog every now and again, or maybe even every day, really can help. And glucosamine and chondroitin is fantastic to give your dogs even at a young age, because it helps with development. Plus, as you probably know, as dogs get older, it's almost like our cod liver oil tablets. It helps with joints and stuff like that, and can really help with dogs that potentially might get arthritis later on in life. So definitely a good thing to give your dog. And that concludes all the questions for episode 11. Thank you very much for all the questions. We're obviously enjoying answering them, and if you have got any questions at all, make sure you get in contact. See you soon.